let's start with what exactly is typography. I would love for you guys to fill in your answers also if you know what typography is. But in the meantime, I I will give you a little understanding of what typography is in the forum of UI UX and graphic design, and why is it such a big deal in the design sector. So, well, it is the art of arranging letters and text in a way that makes the content not only readable, but also very engaging. And I'm going to come back to this term readable in this workshop again and at a very poignant point. So keep that in mind. What do I mean when I say it's readable? So yes, I stated that it makes us visually engage with the content. It's also about choosing the right fonts. It's about choosing the right sizes. It's about spacing and alignment to tell a story. It also guides a user in the form of using an app or a web-based application or any product. Um, and it makes your design stand out. It's a blend of not just creativity, but to a level of, one can say, precision. It's almost like a dance between art and science. So when I say creativity and precision, this is what I mean. It's a good mix of all of those. And imagine visiting a website or opening up a magazine, and the text is all over the place. Too small, it's too cramped, or maybe it's just too hard to read, and it can get frustrating. It can also be very frustrating is if everything looks the same. If I open up a book right now and all of the words and I can't figure out where it begins or where it ends, it will make you rip out the hair out of your head. So that's where like really good typesetting comes in. And in the process of like carefully arranging text and to make sure that it is clear, it is inviting, and it's easy to follow, this is what we do, and this is our aim with typesetting. And when I say it's a precision work, it's also, let's say, in the world of the UI UX, it's very crucial because it directly affects how the user will interact with your design. And in print, it helps your reader to engage and understand the content without getting overwhelmed. They know where to read. If it's a poster, if it's a publication, if it's a book, if it's even an advertisement that we have created, having the right typesetting is going to make whatever information you want to give to your user or your audience or your viewers, having the right typesetting and that right typography is going to make that information flow from your end to the viewers in a very seamless way. What you visualize will actually get executed in the same way. And throughout this workshop, we'll look at some very core principles of typesetting. We'll be looking at hierarchy, we'll be looking at readability, we'll be looking at legibility, and you will learn how to organize text so that your information pops out, while supporting details that naturally flow. So think of it as a building, that if almost like if you're building a smooth pathway for your eye to follow. What do I look first? What do I look after? And what do I look at the end? It's almost making your eye guide through a pathway. Okay. So we also will discuss how to group information effectively. And we'll also ensure that your design has a very clear and very logical structure, which helps in that movement of our eye. And but hey, don't worry. It's not just all about rules. We'll have some fun. We'll have some little creative experimentations also. We'll play with fonts and we'll play with a little layout. And we'll give you the chance to see how very small tweaks can make really big impact in the world of design, be it graphics or be it UI UX. And please, please, please don't worry about making mistakes. Please don't hesitate to work, because design is all about learning, and it's all about iterating, and it's all about having fun with it. And if you're not doing that, then something's going wrong. So please don't hesitate to try things out today. It's not going to be very difficult. It's going to be super, super simple. But it would be only fun if all of you engage and do the work together. So by the end of the session, once you've done and the entire activities, you might walk away with like a handful of skills to make very beautiful and user-friendly designs. So let's get started and let's roll up some sleeves. Let's switch on some videos and let's start with our workshop. Is everybody excited? Is everybody good to go? Great. Lovely. Thank you for everyone who has actually opened up your videos. It's genuinely very helpful. So just to give you a little very brief introduction about who I am, I'm just not a random person over here. I work with the academics team at And Academy. My name is Kaushiki Gupta. And I work as a publication designer when I'm not educating or not working as an educator at And. I run a little publication house in London. And I work with educators and I work with curriculum designers and I worked with IIT Delhi to build the DMD curriculum. So yeah, that's like a brief understanding of where I come from. I studied art and I studied contemporary art practice. And that is me. So let's just to give you credibility that I'm not a bot being here. But yeah, everybody excited? Great. Guys, if in any case, if you don't want to turn off your cameras, that's also okay. But please send me reactions through the raise hand or the react button at the end, at the below, the bar below. So just so that I know that you have understood certain things or topics, okay? Great. I see little thumbs up somewhere. Great. Lovely. Um, Sure. Okay, great. Done. I will be sharing a link with you at some point in this workshop. This is a link to a Miro board. You don't have to have the Miro board software downloaded into your computer. You can log in via the web portal also. The Miro board will also have a password attached to it. I will also give you the password to it when we begin. So please join in when we are asked to, and let's get the ball rolling. Okay, please let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. And also, guys, at any time, if you think that I am not able to, if I'm going too fast, if I need to slow down, if I need to repeat anything, feel free to point that out. I will go over anything that you might have thought that I've gone over too fast. If you want me to give a little more examples, please go ahead and ask me those questions, okay? So basic norm settings, ask questions. It's going to be engaging. If I keep talking, it's going to be very, very dull and boring. So love to have your inputs. Great. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today what we're doing is type in action. Before we start anything, let's get a field check from everybody. In your comment section, in your chat box, please mark On this sheep scale, how are you feeling today? Do you feel like sheep number 1, sheep number 2, sheep number 3? Please tell me, how do you feel today? I'll have the chat box here so that I can see it. Oh, I see answers pouring in. Oh, it's a 7. Yes, a 7 is a very, very, I feel like a 7 most of the time. A 9. Oh, yes, I feel pretty and with a garland, and it's such a cute little sheep. Like a 2. Conniving. 1 is a happy one. Yes, great Vaishnavi, Riya, Rajendra, Zakia, Yogesh. Lovely. Shailendra feels like a 5 and it's sleepy and it's exhausting. Yes, I know it's 7 p.m. People are exhausted, at least people from India. But we'll make sure that we can have some fun while even sleep is beckoning us. There's also 7. There's lots of 7. I like the 7 one. It's pretty decent. There's also 5. There's also 4 munching away. Yes, a 6. Sandhani, please apologize. Please. I apologize if I can't pronounce your name properly. I'm sorry for that. Sandhani Talukdar thinks it's a 6. She's really high on life right now, which is great. There's also 1s and 7. Okay, great. So 7's clearly winning. This is what is. Are people taking 7 because they're feeling shy? Is that what it is? Yes, no? Okay. Well, I think because you're shy, it's taking a little time for people to come up and state things. Okay. So good to know that how everybody's feeling on a sheep scale. Moving on from there, this is what we are going to do today. Okay. We are going to understand the basic principles of typesetting. It will include hierarchy, it will include alignment, it will include spacing, it will include readability and legibility, as I said before. We'll apply typesetting principles to design simple layouts. We'll try and develop an awareness of how typography influences communication and user experience. We'll also, and the most important thing out there, we'll try and have some fun. Okay, so now we are going to do a little mood check. I know we did a sheep scale understanding of things, but we're going to do a very quick mood check, and I would request everybody to please join in to the link that I'm sharing. This is a Miro board link. Before I send the link, can I get a yes or a no if anybody has ever worked with the Miro board? Yes or no? That'd be really, really nice. Yes, Ria, no. Okay, no. Some of you have, okay, majority of you haven't. We'll go through it. It is a platform that we use really rigorously in AND. When people are oriented into the program, they are given a full run through of how the software works. But today we are going to go over very basic nitty-gritties of what Miro is. I'm sending you the link to join this particular board. And right after this, I'm also sending you the password that it will ask. The password is also the name of today's workshop, which is type in action, all in small letters, okay? So it's type in action and small letters and all together is the password. Please give me a thumbs up if you are already here. Please, let's just also set the norm. Do not click anything, do not move anything unless you're asked to. A lot of you will be working in this board together, so make sure that you don't click or move anything. I can see someone who's joined us. Yes, people are joining in, so it's working. The link's working for sure. You will be allocated a couple of boards. Do only work in the boards that you are assigned to or you have already selected. Only work in the frames that you have selected for yourself. Do not work or mess around with somebody else's frame. That would be really, really lovely. Okay. So please keep your Miro boards on, but also keep listening to your Zoom call. Please come back to the Zoom call for what you're asked to do. And then we'll come back into your Miro board to do a little activity, okay? So what we're going to do is going to get a very quick mood check. So first, what I would like you to do is select one of the word which is the most appropriate to your mood right now. I have made an assumption of a couple of words that people might be feeling, but I've written it. If you see the board right below it, I've written the words a lot of time. Please select the word which most appropriately describes you and copy it and paste it. Do not take it onto your board. Copy it and paste it onto the board. So here is your working board for you guys. So what you will do is you will take a board. You can click here and you can write your name here. Select one for yourself, write a name and select a board. And all you have to do is copy one of the words that you feel is much relevant for you, the word that best describes you, and copy it and paste it onto your board. Make sure that you resize it, make sure that it is in the chat, but I will give it to you here again. Here. This is the link. And the password is this one. Lovely. I can see people already started working. There are plenty of boards made for all of you. There's also people feeling mostly casual, people feeling mostly stressed, and someone feeling friendly. Okay. Quick 5 minute, please don't move around things and just copy the word from above and paste it here. And you can copy more than two words also if you, but make sure that they're different words in regards that if you're feeling excited, please copy and paste it. Don't take it from there. Please copy and paste it. Thank you, Raja. That would be lovely. Copy the one that you've seen over here and paste it onto the board that you've selected. I'll quickly set a timer for another 3 minutes. And I'll play a little music for you guys while you are copying them and putting them on your board. I would also like I would also like everybody to do this activity. I see a couple of you here, and I would like to see all of you do the work that's being given over here. And if you've chosen stressed, choose only one way you choose it, which selects you in the most appropriate way. You can feel stressed and you can feel friendly with it. So please select different words, but if you have selected stressed, choose the word which best suits your stress level. Okay. Approximately 2 more minutes to go. Again, guys, remember to just copy and paste. Do not take it from there. Okay, last few seconds left. Last 30 seconds. Add on the words. Thank you for keeping all of the words here. Please take them, but copy and paste it. And it's the simple way of doing it. Control C, Control V. Okay. Select Control C and then Control V. Lovely. Last 15 seconds, guys. Let's wrap it up. Okay, brilliant. Let's stop doing the timer is up. Let's stop working on the Miro board. Let's come back to the Zoom meeting. Let's discuss what we have done so far. Come back to the Zoom link. Shailendra, yes, everyone's almost back. Do let me know if you can still see my screen is still shared.
Yes.
So great, lovely. Um, Brilliant. Whoever is working on the Miro board, time is up. Please, let's move ahead. Come back to the Zoom meeting. People are waiting for you. Okay. So now, if you look in the board and see how people have just selected and chosen words. Oh wow, a lot of casual went away. There's a lot of casuals that was there. Okay. But there's a reason why Shubham Bharadwaj has chosen this excited. There's a reason why Ria Paul has chosen this friendly. And I would like to know why. And there's a reason why Vaishnavi C has chosen this stressed. There was also stressed written in this particular way. There was also stressed written in this particular way. But they chose stressed that was written in this way specifically to depict their stress level. And everybody has done it differently across. Shailendra also feels a little casual, and they have selected the way this casual has been written. But there's casual that was also written in this format. There was also casual that was written in this format. And I also see Zakia has chosen the same stressed over here. So my question to you guys is, how did you make your selections? Why did you choose the word that you choose first? And did the font style or the formatting in which it has been done influence your decision? So please, I would like a raise of hand before one answers, and I would like to listen to a couple of you at least. Yes, some Shubham Bharadwaj. Please go ahead. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Excited in yellow because yellow signifies kind of a joy. Maybe that's why.
Lovely.
It
What's
was
the
bold.
Mhm.
It's bold so that kind of focus, and I don't know, somehow it made sense in bold. That's and friendly is like it tilted. What do you say? Like it's a kind of a normal friendly kind of a it's signifying this particular font. So that's why I would choose it.
Lovely, lovely. Great realizations. Also, very, there's no right or wrong answers over here. It's why you felt like it and why you chose this. That's as simple as that. And thank you, Shubham, for sharing. Zakia?
Yes. So the reason I chose the stressed with the underline is because I think it feels more highlighted and it makes you seem like how do I say it? Because red is usually a color to attract attention. So this kind of stress makes you like feel how do I say it? convey how stressed you feel. So I feel like high levels of stress could be used with this color and with the underline. And for the casual, I think it's since it has rounded ends for each of the letter, it feels like bubbly. It gives off like bubbly vibes, and the thickness of each letter feels, how do I say it? Makes it seem soft as well.
Mhm.
That is like how I felt.
Lovely. That's great. Thank you for sharing, Zakia. Would anybody else like to share why they've chosen the word that they have chosen?
Yeah, this is Ria Paul.
Hi, Ria.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
hi. So actually, I have chosen friendly this one because as this is sans serif, and I haven't chosen slab serif because this is kind of curvy. So I think this will go with friendly nature. So that's why I have chosen this.
Lovely. That's good. That's great. Thank you for sharing, Ria.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. Is there anybody else who'd like to go ahead? Okay, no worries. But I think we have got a great pool of answers. And if everybody was listening in, it's great how the way a certain word is written has an impact on how you see it and how you perceive it and what it makes you feel like. The fact that Shubham liked the yellow, the fact that the boldness of it attracted him and made him feel that this is the level of excitement is what's beaming up. The fact that Zakia felt that the red is something that is giving the appropriate amount of emphasis onto the feeling of stress, and the way that it is underlined is giving you that level of importance that this word demands, that which is stress. The way that it is, the color of it, the formatting that has been done to the word has changed. I could have also written stressed very as I've written casual, but that would have had a very different impact on how we perceived or understood that word. And this is the level of impact typography has on us. And so does Faria, who found the almost non-edge, non-angular versions of this particular typeface to be the most appropriate one that describes the friendly nature. That because it's curved, that because it's soft, that's the term that she used. And look at, if the same friendly was written the way this casual is written, it wouldn't have had the same impact on Ria, and she might not have chosen that. And I think you guys have already seen how typography almost guides your the way you perceive, guides the way you understand, guides the way you comprehend the meaning of certain words. And that's in action right now that you just saw. So moving on, let's see a little and learn a little more about typography. One thing that I know for sure, that typography is everywhere around us. I can see my screen and I can see a gazillion forms of type on my screen itself. I can see a bottle over here and the bottle has different kind of typefaces on it. I go out of my house and I go down the street and all the shop fronts have different typefaces that is telling me what shop they are. I open a book and the book will tell me exactly what kind of typefaces there are that I can read. This I'm not sure if I can change my video, but can you see the way design has been written? Oh, wait, I shouldn't have put in my background. But oh, is this visible?
Yeah,
And
visible.
for a little bit. But yes, but see how the way design has been written. If you see anything and everything, the way I see this little, oh wait, I'll try. Here, just that branding of lemongrass and the way it has been written, that has an impact on how I perceive things or how I buy things or how I engage with things. And that is how important typography is in our lives. Moving forward, typography is so much more than words and fonts. If you see the examples over here, wait, whoa. If you see the examples over here, you see the different variations in the ways a typeface can be used. It can be used to depict several different aspects of it. Can anybody tell me what is being written over here?
Giant.
Right. And does it feel like a giant?
Yeah.
What does it feel like? What does it do to you?
Yeah.
I'm tall, like a kind of tall.
Somebody is looking from above.
Right. It almost feels like somebody is huge and
Huge
ginormous.
and big.
Yeah, and it's almost like you are this tiny little person and you're looking at a giant, and that is what type is doing. Um, and that's just the word that one can play with. This is a poster for a movie which was Gravity. What do you think is happening here?
Falling down
Gravitational
towards
pull.
the gravitational force.
Exactly. Just tweaking. I could have written gravity just the way where GR and ITY was, but little tweaking to what I read, how I play with my type, just tweaks on where I position and place them has a whole different impact. It just that on that screen, on that color, is it. There is no other element in that poster. It is just type and color that is bringing about, and it's a movie poster that is on the billboards of a country or on the billboards of a theater place. This is where money piles in, and this is it. It's playing with intelligent type. um do you see this poster over here?
Yeah.
So this exactly is it's about Garamond, which is a font. And because it is the type, the way the G is written in the font type on the typeface, which is called Garamond, and it is about all the information's written within the G, and the impact that typeface creates is also being, and it's really impactful in ways invariably, and taking up space. How does one fit in different kind of text, and where do they play with the paper? But you also see that they're all aligned within this bowl of the G, and they're all aligned to each other. And these are little tweaking that create such beautiful designs. What do you think is happening here? This is also a poster for Groundhog Day. Does anybody know what Groundhog Day is? Okay, so this is fun. Groundhog Day is a movie where this particular person, yes, Shailendra, it's a movie, where a day of one, or the life or a day of one individual keeps repeating. The same day keeps happening over and over and over again. They go and they do the same thing, and then they go back to sleep, and then they wake up and it's the same day. And even no matter what they try to get out of that loop, they are stuck in a loop. They always wake up at the same time. It's always say for example, it's the 2nd of February, you wake up and it's not the 3rd of February for them. It is always the 2nd of February for them, and that's the plot line of the movie. That's the plot line of the fiction, and this is the poster that defines it. Again, there's nothing fancy over here. There's no image that's working its way. But the way the font has been set is doing the work of giving us the plot line of the movie. Um, Over here, to get away with murder, you can't make mistakes. And look at the placement of the blame, and look at how your vision or your eye moves from all the way here to this edge, all the way to that corner. It's almost creating from what will you read? You do read this first. You do read this section because it's much clearer to you. And then if you see this poster for the first time, I think that is happening. And then you read this B, and then you read the word that's written over here, and this is almost taking my eye towards the direction of this man that's standing over here. And that is also being done by how type plays out, how type is placed, how type has been manipulated within a poster. It gives you a sense of direction. It makes your eye flow from one information to another. Again, I'm hoping this is a film everybody has seen. Yeah. And is it is the type depicting what the plot line is of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yes, exactly. It is a ship, and it is a sinking ship, and it is the ship which was called Titanic, which hit an iceberg. And yes, there is still the rumor that Kate must have had so much space on that door, but we're not going to go to that. Um, but it is just again how movie plot lines are, and it's a movie, it's a 3 hour long movie, guys. It's not a simple font, or it's not a simple movie. And it's one of like a very pristine movie, and it's one of Leonardo DiCaprio's best works. It's James Cameron's best work. The movie still runs in the theaters, and the entire plot line is just with how the type has been played with color and how it's been placed and positioned in the paper. And this is what the power of what type does. So this is what it is, and it's not just here, but also on screens. What do you read? How do you read it? How do you consume things? If you're on Instagram, if you're on Reddit, if you are on your Google Calendar, how do you know what you have to read? How do you know how do you access something? And that being coming across with how one places one information and where is it placed. If I type my calendar, and if I type the day, and if I type the month, and if I type what day is today and what day is tomorrow, all in the same way, I will not be able to consume that level of information. There are 30 days in a month, and there's so many things that one does. So in a calendar or in your app, if I open, where is my phone? Wait. So if I open my phone and if I open my calendar, wait, find my calendar. You'll be amazed by how many things I have in my calendar. So, um, wait, look, this is how cluttered my calendar looks. But even with this, I can still, oh, I really need to get away from my background. But okay, I hope you can still see certain things. My face, yes, now you can see it. You can see that the amount of information that my screen has. But even then, I'm still able to go through all of it because of the way the information has been written. The color coding makes me understand what information I need to perceive. It has helped to organize my entire life. Where do I have to go? What time do I have to go? And this is what UI UX does. It makes an user journey so seamless. It makes our life easier. Design helps us do that. Design helps us understand, comprehend, or solve a problem through just being empathetic towards who you're catering to. Um, and type is just one little section of it, but even tweaking a little bit of that makes a huge difference. um Moving forward on the type front, we know that it is a complex art form, and it's a very vital component, as I said, for both UI and for graphic design. So when you see a text on a website or an app or on a poster or even on a magazine, what you sometimes might not see or realize is that a UI designer or a graphic designer has worked really hard behind the scenes, which probably would be one of you guys and as me as a designer, because I've tried to balance the style. I have looked about the arrangement of my type, and I've looked for the aesthetic of the letters that match the information that I want to give to my people, to my audience. And all of this combined together gives me it helps me elicit the emotions and convey very specific messages to my user and to my audience. Um, I'll show you an example of what really good typography does and what does a bad typography does. So here, it's the typography that guides users around the interface of an app or a website or any software, or the canvas of a poster, of a movie screen, of your social media platforms. Um, but without proper typography, the user experience will take a massive, massive hit. Your user experience will go down just the way Titanic went down. So it's going to be super, super hard if your typography is not on place. So a good typography, it it helps us establish a very strong visual hierarchy. A good typography also helps us solidify your branding. You see brands everywhere. You see Coca-Cola everywhere. You know, when you see the C written that way, you immediately associate it with the term Coca-Cola. Um, its branding and its association is so strong, and that is through type that one does that. You know that these are not logos which has imagery in it, but the moment you see this LinkedIn, even the logo, which is just this IN in that box, you know immediately what it does. And this is the typeface that has been used throughout the web page. And so does for Vogue. You know that this is, and it also emotes the things that it does. Look at how sleek, how chic Vogue is. This particular choice of typeface has built the association of what Vogue does. It is a fashion industry. It gives you input about who wore what is the best way to pair your accessories, who's the best designer at this current trend, um, who walked the Met Gala. But it's a level of luxury that one achieves in that fashion industry, but that is exactly what's resonating through how we see Vogue as a magazine cover, as a headline, or as a title for Vogue. And this has been, you see it anywhere, you see the V anywhere, you'd be able to recognize that where is it from. It's the reason we instantly associate these titles and these fonts. um
Here's you one
so
question.
yes, please go ahead.
This LinkedIn,
Mhm.
the IM in the box, what it is trying to communicate to me with that?
You're asking what it's trying to communicate?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it that they want to communicate with this?
So there will be plenty of perspectives on that one. However, LinkedIn, so you know what LinkedIn does, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's also invariably like your the in a briefcase. So almost like getting a job or getting a contract and you've sorted it out. It also helps us build a the square kind of helps us build that community of professionals, build a community of this is where all the job sectors are. And I'm going to have a little boundary for myself. This gives me structure. The square gives me sensibility of where can I find certain things. And the title as such, linked, it helps me link to other people. It helps me associate and network to people. So the choice of the word and the way it has been structured, the help that the software, the forum, or the platform gives us is kind of reflective of it. And this becomes a lot of brand study. A lot of information and a lot of research has gone through what one would associate with it. But what one does is the choice of the typeface that has gone through it. So myriad bold has been used for it, and it's the level of simplicity, the level of clarity that the typeface brings in, and the level of professionalism. It's not casual, it is not a fun aspect, it is where professionals interact, and that simplicity is being reflected onto the logo, which is LinkedIn. And good typography also makes the content, whatever the content may be, easy to consume. So having strong fonts that visually stimulate you and reflect any brand's personality could be the difference between somebody who's staying onto your website for 2 minutes or somebody who's scrolling through your website for 2 hours. If you can gauge their attention, and typography helps you in doing that. Good typography, good typesetting, easy flow of information, it will help me consume your content better. It will help me engage with your content better. And that is what the role of typography is in our current world, where everything's digital, everything's digitized. We consume information at the flick of our finger and a swipe of our thumb. So moving on. Now, okay, I would really, really like you to take some notes. This is going to get a little technical. If it's getting a little heavy, do let me know. I'll take a 2-minute breather if required, but I would really like people to start taking notes now because this will come useful in the next activity. Okay, I'm going to move forward. So we're going to look at some key elements for typography. I've closed my my chat box. So if anybody has written anything on the chat, please, I would request somebody to open up their mic and say it to me. I won't have access to it for the time being. So let's look at some of the key elements of typography. And this is something that we see on a regular basis. We hear the term fonts and we hear the term typefaces. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between the both of them? What's the difference between font and what's the meaning of font and what is the meaning of typefaces? Yes, no, anything. Does anybody know?
I think fonts refers to like, serif, sans serif, and the styles in which it's written, and maybe typefaces refers to the different types. For example, we have I cannot remember Comic Sans and
Arial, Georgia, all these things.
People are pretty much on point. It's just not the serif and the sans serif part. They also come for typefaces. But let's flesh that out. Like, I don't know who answered that, but great answers. Um, we just need to go in a little more detail of the differences. So this is what it means. The term, and it's a mistake that people do constantly, and as designers, it people like kind of use it interchangeably, but they refer to very different things. And you need to have that level of clarity as to what it means and how do you use the term font and how you use the term typefaces. So a typeface is a family of related fonts, as you said. So a typeface could be Roboto, a typeface could be Arial, a typeface could be Helvetica. Um, and within the family, there will be different styles, and each of those styles will be the font. So a typeface is a family of related fonts, while fonts refer to the width, the weight, the styles that constitute a typeface. So Arial is an example of a typeface, but Arial bold is a font. So let's see some more examples to clarify it. A typeface is like a music album, a set of one or more font that share the certain design feature is called a typeface. So Roboto is a typeface, and Roboto has 6 fonts: thin, light, normal, medium, bold, black. So fonts are the songs of the album. The different weights, the different styles, they make up the fonts. So Roboto has 6 fonts together, and Roboto's font family is also, these are the font that we have. There's also this aspect of font style. And the font style is the way a character has been typed. So is it regular? Is it regular italic? Is there a small slight tilt to it? Is it medium? Is the width medium? Then it is not totally bold. It's not thin. It's medium sized. Is it medium italic? Is there a slight tilt to that width? Is it bold? And is it bold italic? So these are the font styles. This is a typeface, and these are your fonts. So the styles in a Google Doc, when you have Arial selected as default or Times New Roman selected as default, that is your typeface. When you want to make it bold, or when you want to make it bold italics, that becomes a font. And then when you want to have a little inclination, or you want to have an underline in it, that becomes a font style. Okay. Is everybody with me so far? Like, there's no confusion, no questions?
Yep,
Yes,
everything's
Lovely. Now, let's talk about a little bit of more on the characteristics and the elements of it. So we're going to talk about hierarchy to begin with, okay? So typographical hierarchy is the process. Does everybody know what hierarchy means? Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
something that's arranged in an order.
Lovely, brilliant. Um, so in a document, there are chapters and there are sections and there are subsections, and all of these things are nested inside each other, right? So they form a relationship within these subnests or subsections, and this is what hierarchy is. And it's the process that one can create hierarchies through using sizes, through color, through contrast, through alignment. And this is done to guide users to which text should be noticed first and which one should be read first. So a typical example of typographical hierarchy is size. Heading should always be larger than your subheadings and the standard body copy, right? When you write a title, it's always bigger than the rest of the content. When you read a chapter's name, and the rest of the content of the chapter name is bigger. So that is hierarchy. You will read the chapter name first, and then you'll read the body text. If there is a subheading to your chapter, say for example, the chapter is about publication design, and that is my heading. But within publication design, I have a subheading which says grids, and I'm talking about grids. Then my word grid will be smaller than publication design, but bigger than what the content about grid are. So you understand the hierarchy that is being created and generated. It's almost like this. Please look at the image that's on your screen, and I think you will understand this in a much clearer way. Please tell me if this makes sense. Please tell me if I need to zoom in or zoom out a little for you to read it better. I'll give some time for you to read, and then I'll read it also. Has everybody read it?
I'm done.
Yeah.
Can I get a couple more yeses?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So you will read this first, and then you will read this line, and you will probably read this before the paragraph. Please follow my cursor. And you will go back to read this body copy if you want to know more. And it takes the most effort to read because it has a lot of text in a small font, in a lightweight. and tight line spacing. Many people will skip paragraphs like this unless they aren't engaged right away. This is why it's important to draw attention to your message using visual hierarchy. At some point, you may come back to read this line, or maybe not. So, you all might have followed the same way things are written over here. And this is exactly what hierarchy is. This is knowing where the weight, the size, the width needs to be bigger or smaller, the color needs to be different based on what information should I read first, what information should one intake or consume first. This is a similar thing on a website or also on an app. You'll see that the title is written in a much bigger way. The scale is huge, and then the subheading, and then the placeholder text, which is usually lorem ipsum. Now, if I'd done the same thing this way, the title small and then the subheading, and it's almost the same, the title smaller, there's no hierarchy being created over here, is it?
Yeah, ma'am.
So this, if my, say my any kind of, if Amazon had this kind of hierarchy in my UI, in my screen, I would not be able to go through the website at all. I won't be able to go through the app at all. I won't know what I'm looking at, what is the name of my item that I'm picking or choosing. um I don't know what the price tag is because I don't know where it's written. But writing things like this, it tells you the most important information. It gives me the name first and gives me a subheading first. And then it gives me more information. If I'm interested about the title, I will read the content below. If I'm not interested in the title, I won't bother reading the rest of it. Here, I can't even see where my title is. I don't know what it is about, and I have to read through all of it, and I won't be bothered. No, like now we live in a generation where they're like 30 seconds, 15-second reels. If you can't gauge somebody's attention in the first go, you've lost their attention. There's no getting it back. And this is what catches it at the first go.
I have one question.
Please go ahead.
So the you, yeah, this one. You will read this first if you zoom this one. Yeah. So the U is written in such a big font, and beside that, at some point you may, this is written in a small font. So isn't it making uneven, like the big font and then the small font?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So when you see this as a whole, when you see this as a whole, this is done so that you read this first, even from a distance, even from when it's not as blown up on your face on your screen, you'll still be able to read the title. And because in the later half, there is equal amount of text and equal amount of text over here, here, the big size and the small size font over here is almost balancing it out. If I had the same amount of information here, or even if I had something much more at a middle range, like if the size was not, say, I don't know what the size is right now, but if this is say a 9 or an 8 or a 7, but if I had chosen say maybe a 15 or a 20 size, I wouldn't be able to create the hierarchy that has been created right now. I'm talking about hierarchy here and not layout. So to create hierarchy, you need to create that contrast. It needs to have, what do I read first? So you'll probably not write something like this when you want people to consume things at a linear way. But to create hierarchy, and to make sure that somebody reads certain information before anything so that they come back and come closer and spend time to your artifact, to your graphic, to your UI, they will come back if they read this first, and then they will at some point come back and read this if they're interested. And to for as a designer, this is what makes it balanced. The spacing of it makes it balanced.
Okay, I got it.
Cool. The other thing that we want to talk about is size and weight, which translates as contrast. Okay, so like hierarchy, contrast helps us convey which idea or message you want to emphasize your readers. So over here, because the U is so big and at some point this line is so thin, the emphasis is being created on the U. And this is because of the weight, because of the size, the scale is so big, the weight is huge. And here the emphasis is being created, your eyesight goes there the first. So you can create contrast by playing with varying typefaces, varying colors, styles, and sizes to create visual impact. And you can also do it by breaking up the page's text. So if you see this page, it's a screenshot taken from a blog post. And can everybody, can, can you tell me your thoughts on this? Is it easy to read? Do you know what you're reading? Is the do you see whatever we have spoken about so far about the hierarchy, is it being reflected here, and how do you see the differences anywhere? Can somebody unmute themselves and let's have a discussion on this?
Yeah, we can say that the main topic is in the title. It's the largest. And then after that, we have the subheading and then the body. And then the second subheading is also larger than the body to show that it's highlighting a breakup of the topic. And we're going to like go into another part that's in the title. Something
Lovely.
like
It's exactly that. And imagine if all of this was written in one typeface and in one size and in one way. There was no breakdown of where the paragraph ends, where the heading begins, where which my title is. If all of it was in the same color, if it was on the same type font size, and if it was the same font style, I wouldn't have been able to consume this information. The fact that this is of a bigger scale, but also look at the slight difference being created by for the tagline or the subheading by using, yes, not just size or scale, but also through color. If this was black, this has been, the transparency of it has reduced. It is one of the gray scales that has been used. Similarly, this is another level of information, but if you see very closely, this one's a little lighter than my heading, my subheading. Then I have this information, this paragraph that I can read, but they're all in italics. I know that this is going to be different from, this is where my actual content starts. This can be my summary of it, or this can be the introduction of it. It could be the abstract of the blog post, because of the way it has been italicized. And then my subheading, again, I know that this is, if I don't want to read this, I will probably jump directly to my subheading and start reading. So this is how you create hierarchy. You give your audience a choice. You give them autonomy of what they would read, what they wouldn't read. There is so much data to be consumed in this particular screen itself. If I don't create this level of hierarchy, it's going to be really, really difficult for anybody to consume any data and to stick around for longer than a second. So everybody good with me so far? They're all with me. They've understood hierarchy, they've understood contrast, you've understood what fonts and typefaces are. Very
Yeah.
quickly, I've done a recap. Yep.
yes.
If you have a bottle of water, if you have a cup of tea, if you have a cup of coffee, please take a sip. It will be really, really nice, because now we're going to do a little activity. So first, let me explain to you what the activity is, and then please jump into the Miro board. The link is already there, you know the password to it. So what you have to do is, first let's get in a little bit more information, okay? We're going to understand typesetting. And this is something that I also said in my introduction bit, which was I used the term readability. And I said that I'll come back to it. But I also know, as similarly, people use the term font and typefaces interchangeably, and they don't know the meaning behind it sometimes, and that's why they do it. This is also another thing that people do it very often. They state readability is the same as legibility. Does anybody know what the difference between good legibility and poor legibility is? Like, give me the difference between legibility and readability. What do I mean when I say something is readable? What do I mean when I say something is legible?
Readable is something that you can read properly, and legible is something that you can understand properly.
That's a great way of going. Does anybody else want to chime in? Say, have an answer? There's no
Legibly.
wrong or right. Go ahead.
Maybe a shape or image, something like this called legibility, and something else. Or the readable is just you read or something like that. Legibility means like you see something and get the idea and read, focus on your mind, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Anybody else?
In legibility, I think if you like readability is obviously that you can read, and legibility is like you are feeling good about it, or it makes more sense to you, maybe.
I mean, everybody has got a good sense of it, but let's break it down. And I think none of you gave me a wrong answer, just to put it out there. Everybody has a very good understanding of it. But let's simplify this term. What does legibility mean? So over here, you can read every word, right? You can read good. You can read
Yes, this is
LE.
a readable and design and like for the beauty, it called legibility, right?
Okay, probably not, but let's try to break it down and then see where we're going with this definition. Okay, so okay,
Maybe the first one is clear to read or clear
right,
to understand, whereas second one is bit I'm struggling to understand.
right. That's a great way of understanding over here. See, you can identify every letter here, right? Every letter, the G, the O, the D, the G here, the I here, the Y here. Yes.
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you. And over here, it's not as easy. I don't know if this is a G or if it's a C. I don't know if this is an I or L or T. I don't know if it's so decorative. So I can't read every word or identify everything that clearly. And that is what it means when it's legible, that every individual character, that every individual letter is clear to us. Okay. And now, when we talk about readability, we talk about it in the form of the entire paragraph that we read. So, good readability means that we are more comfortable to read it. And poor readability would just mean that it takes a strain, it takes a little more effort from us to read it. It's not as comfortable to read something. So, legibility is how well one individual character can be differentiated from another. So something could be very very readable, but it can be very poorly legible also. But it doesn't really always sink in hand. So something which has good legibility will eventually be something which is more readable. It works specifically with like readable, like decorative fonts. So with legibility, when one means that the legibility is poor, it means that every individual character can't be differentiated. We don't know what every individual character is, and that is what legibility refers to. Whereas readability is how easily I can easily just read and differentiate what a word is altogether. So I don't have to understand the O, but I understand the good altogether. And there are different ways and variably that one thing could be more legible and one thing could be more readable. And it's about the choices we make. It's how we tweak the typesetting of our type that we have chosen. And we're going to do a very, very, very quick little activity. So please understand what the activity is first. And I'm going to make you go through couple of information. So first, let's just understand what the task is. And then I'll give you a good solid say 5 minutes to go and do the activity for all of you. Okay, so what we'll do first is you'll observe the options A and B. So this is one, this is A, and this is B, and this is another one. So this is another A and another B. So this is one example and this is the second example. So in example one, you read whatever's written and then copy the star. You can just copy it and paste it and place it wherever you think it's more legible. Okay, so which of them is more legible? So where can you understand and identify each and every single word? Place it on that box. If you think A is legible, you put it on A. If you think B is legible, you put it on B. Similarly, you'll do it for this example. If you think this example A here is more legible, you'll put a star here. If you think B example is more legible, you'll put a star here. Okay, so let's just see which amongst all of the A's and all of the B's do you think which one's legible the most? So here's the star. Please make a copy of it and paste it and place it onto the box over here. So let's hop on to the Miro board and quickly do this. Guys, be careful with what you're doing. Please don't change things. Guys, copy it properly. Copy the star and paste it. Lovely. Has everybody done it?
Yes, I think.
Okay. Great. Let's move out of the Miro board then, guys. Snehal, please deselect it. Yes, lovely. Thank you. Okay. So please give me a thumbs up or give me some reaction so that I know that you guys are back in the Zoom link and not meandering somewhere in my Miro board. Please, 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 please? Yeah. Okay. So why it's very clear. Yes, you guys are all right. You've all selected B over here, and you've selected the B over here for this example, and you think both of these are legible. But why? So something that is very key here is, does everybody know what X height is?
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. What is the difference between these two?
Right. So in here, if you see that this is a letter and all of this is the same text, right? They're all the same things that's written over here for example A, and for example B. It's the same text that has been written. But if you see very closely, this height between the edge, let me draw a line. Guys, if anybody has selected it, please don't select. So this line that you see, I'll highlight it into green. So this is this line where all of my letters are placed on top. Okay. And this is the line where it all ends. Does everybody see the green lines? Give me a yes, because I
Yeah.
can't see.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Lovely. So here, if you see, this is where my N ends, the edge, the descender or the lower half of my letters end. And I've drawn the other line where exactly the edge of my upper half of my all of my letters end. This I'm not counting because this is called an ascender. This is something that goes beyond all of the rest of the text. So if I had an X somewhere, let me find an X. Is there an
It
X?
means unknowingly children's workbooks are practiced in this way.
Right, exactly. Children's workbooks are practicing. Right. Very, very, very good observation and good point. Because we teach children to write within these two lines also, because this is, if also now analyze if I had to write an X. So my X would also begin here and it would end here. It would begin here and would end here. This is where most of my letters begin and end. And this is why this distance between these two lines are called my X height. Anything that goes up it is called an ascender. Anything that goes below it is called a descender. But everything in between this is my X height. Now, my X height for this is, you can assume that this is the size between my X height. Now let's go to the second example. If you go to my second example and I put it over here, this is where my edge is. And I also see where my upper edge is. Okay, now I'm going to take both of this together and I'm going to group them and I'm going to bring them on top so that we can compare. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this X height, I'm going to group them and I'm going to take them on top. We're going to place them in the same, if you see that I'm going to try and place them on the same baseline. Do you see the difference now? This is for A and this is for B. Yes, can everybody acknowledge? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
It's the same text, but it has a different X height. The X height for example B is much bigger than example A. And anything which has a bigger X height has more legibility because it's more clearer. It is bigger also with reference to my width. of all of my letters are the same. The width of all of my letters are the same, but my X height has gone up. So this is more proportionally bigger. Hence, anything with a bigger X height, the length of the X height, I have a more legible text. Okay, so you can choose from different typefaces, anything. You can try it out after this workshop also and see where it goes, how it happens.
So
And for, yes, go ahead,
so
question.
if we increase the size of the text, like size of the font, like 9 to 12, then the X height will go, it will increase like this only.
Try it out.
Okay.
This is something that you can try it out after this workshop, and you can email me and write me if this works or not. Okay?
Okay.
I would also like love to see how you expand on this. And over here in this next example, you all said that B is much more legible. And similarly, like the X height, over here we have the character width. So I'll do the same thing here. See how this is my C, this is the width of my C, and this is the width of my, this is how it ends. So this is what my character width is. Width is how broad it is, how wide it is. That is my character width. Now, if I have to do the same for the example over here, let's go to B. I can find a C here. I found the edge of my C here, and I've also found the edge of my C here. I want to group them. And I want to take it up here. And this is the lower one is B. Okay. And the one over here, I'm gonna take it up and I have placed it here. And this is A. So you see the character width of A is much smaller and character width of B is much bigger. So whichever has bigger character width gives you more legibility. The tighter and smaller my character width is, the harder it is for me to read and comprehend. It gives it's so tightly packed that I can't read everything. It's stressful to my eye. You might feel the same, and hence bigger the wide width, but again keep in mind that it is proportional to the size. Now my length of my X height can't go beyond something. My length is still steady everywhere with the referential that the same X height, but my width has gone smaller and bigger. Now, if proportionately with to my X height, if my width is smaller, it's hard to read. If my width is bigger, it's easier to read. Every individual character. Hence, we say that bigger the character width, the better legible things are. Everybody okay so far?
Yes.
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 I have a question, Ms.
Yeah.
Gupta. So, in case, what role does legibility play in the hierarchy? Like, can we have a paragraph which is more legible and one which is not? And can we command the hierarchy that way through legibility?
So hierarchy also depends on how the information is being read. Also, it makes the flow of motion. So if things are not legible, I will most probably skip that information. So if I need something to be read prominently and properly, I need to have good legibility. If I can choose a very beautiful typeface, I can use a very fancy typeface, okay? And it might also be a typeface that is the most appropriate for the content that I'm writing. I can select the most beautiful calligraphic style for a wedding card, for example. But if words are not legible, I will not read that information. If the name of a bride and the groom is written in the most fancified handwriting, but I can't figure out which is a G, which is an L, which is a H, T. I won't read that. So hence, clearer the legibility, better the hierarchy it forms. It just aids in the form of how one perceives the information.
And mutual funds, if they want you to discourage to go through the risks involved, they'll put the font in a most discouraging and depressed manner, and you usually avoid it. That's how intelligently they play with.
Very
No,
well.
even in long text, oftentimes we want audience to read something, and we don't want them to, like, we know that if we catch their attention, they will read it, either if it's legible to a higher degree or not. And sometimes we don't want them to read some certain things. So
Yeah.
can we make a hierarchy in such a way as per the legibility status?
I think something like a document which is as important as like a mutual funds, or even if it's fine print, um it's a lot of text. Things are written in fine print so that to fit into the page. That is the intent of it. Whenever we're writing something, our main aim, wherever whoever is writing, is that the clarity remains. So no matter where you use whatever you use, you should always aim for good legibility. If you if you use anything, say for example, you've created hierarchy by making the font size bigger or the scale bigger, or maybe you've created hierarchy by color. So if you go back to this example, where did it go? Okay. So if you go back to this example, and if both of them were of the same type size, and if say we're not talking about the title or the subtitle, but say they were the same type size, and I wanted to create hierarchy, and I've used a typeface which has very smaller character width on one, and to so that people don't read it, or to create poorer hierarchy. um, and I've tried to do the same with say I've tried not to do the same with the title. People will just not read it, and you don't want that. You want them to read it, but just at a maybe after the title. So creating poorer legibility is just creating poorer UI. You're making a bad user experience. So typesetting is important for people to able to consume it. So keeping these things in mind is just that it won't create hierarchy as such. It will create a good user experience or not.
Okay, thank you.
So let's do another quick one. We'll do only two. There are three, but for the interest of time, um, you will again observe options A and B for this one, and you'll observe option A and B for here. You'll copy this green star again, and you will place it onto whichever box you think is most readable. Similarly, same thing, readable. Now you're talking about readability and not legibility. Remember, readability is when you can read the entire word, entire paragraph as a whole together in a more efficient and pleasing way. So quickly hop onto the Miro board and let's do this. 2 minutes should be enough. Let's go. Guys, please be useful when you're using the Miro board. Don't change things which shouldn't be meddled with, please. I've got a myriad of colors of stars now, which is fine, but I get it, the stars. Guys, please don't change the color of the backdrop. Okay, let's come back to the Zoom link and let's discuss things through. All right. I hope people are back and we're gonna quickly go through what is more readable and what isn't. Whoever has selected the example A on type case, can you please explain why do you feel this is so?
It's very eye catchy, and there is no strain on my eye on plain look. That's why I selected that.
And you can read everything very clearly.
Yeah.
So now I can agree to an extent where when everything's on a type case. So type case, again, for people, it means that it's either on a caps lock or a small caps or a small letter, right? So like over here, A is a caps lock, A is in a capital case, and G here is on a small case. So all the grasshopper is written on small case. So it's basically capital letter and small letter. So that's what cap type case is. Okay. So when we use a caps lock format for some phrases to bring attention, yes, it is doable. But imagine if you had to read a whole paragraph on a book, similarly like this, then it will be really hard for somebody to read. But when I know where it starts, how it ends, it makes it easier. And this is something that you need to keep in mind when you're making a design for the greater mass and the greater audience spaces. What is it that's easier on your eyes? Can I distinctify and comprehend that? Because the words are also similar, I don't know where one ends, where one begins. If I had to read a long text of this, if it was a page full of caps lock letters, it becomes really difficult for one to catch the reading. I mean, people will be able to read, there's no doubt on it. But is it easier for something which has a mixed type case? Yes. Again, make sure that when you're writing a body copy, not a title or a heading. If it's a title or a heading, please make sure that you can use like multiple ways, and you can use like a caps lock version of the typecase throughout. But for a body copy, it needs to be in small case, else it becomes really difficult to comprehend a lot of the content. Also, when somebody's texting you something and in the message, when everything is in type like big caps lock, you'd seem to feel that they're shouting or screaming at you, right? And you'd want to avoid doing that. Hence, similarly, utilizing a mix of it is just pleasing, and it's overall the entire page would be a lot more readable. And over here as well, you've done something which is fairly visible, is this is much more readable. And this isn't because of the line spacing between all of it. Here, the lines, so the line spacing is the line between A and in. So all of this, so the space over here is called the line spacing. Over here, it's very tightly packed, and I can't comprehend if I come here and if it's a longer text and I go back to this line, I might not figure out. Sorry, I was pointing it out with my finger and I realized I'm on screen. So if I start with A and I've gone here and if it was a long text and I have to go back to the left of my text, I might lose that if this is where I should start or this is where I should start. It happens sometimes with novels, when you're reading something and you go back and you've missed a line, that's because the line spacing isn't proper. Here, it gives me much more breathing space. It gives me a lot more clarity as how I can consume that information. And hence, line spacing and typecase is one of the most crucial aspects when we're considering legibility and readability. Okay. Now moving on. Again, let's not do the star thing, but if somebody would like to tell me which one amongst A or B here is more readable, Is example A readable, example B readable? You can unmute yourself.
Example
B?
B.
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 Lovely. It's purely because of the contrast. So color plays a great role in what we are reading and what we're not reading. So the type here is written in a pink shade and the backdrop is in an orange shade. And it's almost merging and camouflaging, and I can't comprehend every aspect of it, specifically if it was such a long piece of text. However, if I see this, the black and the yellow with color theory, it creates a deep contrast and it's helping me read it. It's aiding to the fact that I can read it much better. So we've got like 20 minutes now. And I'd like to go through something very quickly. This information is about how all of this setting can be very effectively done in any of the softwares that one can tweak with or play with. So when it's time to put text into an interface or on a document page, the UI and the graphic designers take a lot of time to fix this all of little things, the spacing, the character width, the space between the characters, the space of the character. All of these things are tweaked in, and specifically in publication design. And this art of arranging where what goes, how big or how small my X height will be, how big or small my character width will be, all of this is typesetting. This is what the art of typesetting is. Once the text in the interface or on a page as a UI or a graphic designer is laid out, the typesetting techniques are used to improve the legibility and readability of the text. Your aim is always to improve the readability and the legibility, all the while making sure that your text looks balanced and of high quality. So we'll focus on three fundamental techniques, which amongst them is called tracking, kerning, and leading. I would like to quickly show you a video which will explain it really well. Please let me know if you can see my video. Can you see the video?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So you see what's happening here? This is what is called tracking. When the distance between all the letters of the word is manipulated, it's increased or decreased. That is called tracking. So tracking is when we equally distribute the space between each letter of a word. That is called tracking. And that can be done by, you see, in InDesign, this is the character, this is the spacing width. The A is written between two bars, and you can increase this. Kerning, however, is increasing or decreasing the distance between two individual letters. It is not in a word, it is between two individual letters, you're increasing or decreasing a space. That is called kerning. And one has to manipulate all of this when you're working with long format text, when they're working in graphic design, when you have a huge title and you need to fit something in within your grids. There are several ways where one can do that effectively. Sometimes you might type it down and it does not visually look balanced. You're trying to have a very decorative font, and sometimes the spacing between the D or the V or a W, you can individually make it tighter or space it out to get it more legible and readable. And tracking is when we do it to the entire word, and kerning is when we do play with the spacing between two letters. And leading is the line spacing. It's the space between two lines that we increase or decrease. And that's what we say, that increasing the leading means increasing the line between two lines, and the space between two lines, and decreasing the leading is the opposite of it. So if you see the video now, you'll see increasing of leading. This is the space between the two lines is increased. And that's how line spacing, it aids to our legibility. Is tracking, kerning, and leading clear to everybody?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Is kerning implicit part of tracking?
It's not implicit part of tracking. It means kerning can be done between any two letters. Tracking will always be done with a word.
And it's equidistance of all the characters involved in a word is called tracking.
So yes, so within a word, the distance between each of the letters will be the same throughout, but you can increase it or decrease it.
But in
It
the
will
same
happen
degree,
to,
equal
sorry,
parts. I mean, the space is arranged in equal parts only between the letters, then it's tracking.
yes,
Whether you
yes,
increase or decrease.
yes.
Kerning is like all other parts of the text can be different lengths or width, but between two specific characters, I want to increase the width. Can I call it as kerning?
Not the width of the character, just the space between two.
Sorry,
Yeah.
space.
Only the spacing. So this is how we play with the space. And sometimes you'll see that you've center aligned the text sometime, and that's the heading looks fine. But then you've added a byline or a tagline which is much longer below, and that does not quite feel right and is not entirely in the center. Then you can tweak the tracking of a word which has potential to space out, or you can tweak the kerning between two letters to make it more visually balanced.
Okay.
Okay. So now, because we're at the end of the module, there's 10 minutes. So something that I would like you to do is also, it's a 30-minute thing when I'm not really timed it really well. But if somebody would like to stay back for a couple, like 5 more minutes and do this activity, much more, like really appreciate it. And if it's not feasible, then it's absolutely fine if you take leave after 9 o'clock. But here's what we would like you to do. I've given a content of invitation card. What I would like you to do is just simply take this content. You can work with, we can work with a type box here, or you can work with Google font in Google Docs also, and just create a good hierarchy of the information. It's up to you. Where do you think the heading will go? Which one is the heading? Understand what what needs to be highlighted. Just copy the text from here and take it onto either Google Docs and try to play with the typesetting. Take a screenshot of what you've done and then just upload it onto this board. And that would be really lovely if I can see effective typesetting that comes in. Think about the width of the letters, think about spacing, think about color, think about scale. And you can very quickly do it here itself. You can just copy the text here, put it onto your box. Please write your name so that I know who has done what. And let's set some type before we take leave today. I'm around. I've set a timer for 6 minutes. And we'll try to see if it works out in 6 minutes. Great, I see 3 people who started and I see. So feel free to do this here. It would be much easier given the time frame. In Miro, preferably, you won't be able to very effectively play with tracking or leading or kerning, but it is something to keep in mind when you're working with space, when you're also working with alignment. I know things right now is all centrally aligned, but when we justify a text to the left to right, it's much more easier for us to read. But also remember, this is an invitation. So how would you like to play with it? It's complete creative freedom. You don't have to keep anything as it is, as long as the content is the same. But creatively, you can do anything you'd like. Just make sure that the information flows through in a sequential way. What should I read first? What should I read later? And how are you helping me do that with typesetting? In a text box, you can also go to the alignment and change it from central aligned to left aligned or right aligned as you please. So you please feel free to play with that also. Explore that. You can do things by underlining them. You can do things by highlighting it with a different color. You can do things by increasing a size of one aspect of it. I see quite effective typesetting coming across in my screen itself. I see italics coming in for information. There's bold lettering coming in. Great. We've got a minute and a bit to go. I think people are really chiming in with the work, which is lovely to see. And quite effectively, if I might say. Last 1 minute. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Last 20 seconds. Last few finishing touches, if there are any. And then we'll wrap up. We'll all come back to Zoom and we'll look at the work that you've done right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time's up. Let's come back to the Zoom call. Everybody please move out of the Miro board. Let's come back. Is everyone back? Can everybody say yes? Because I can't see the chat box, neither can I see you.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Brilliant. I hope you can see my screen, and I'd like you to see the amazing stuff that you've done. You've understood the information, everyone, all the way around. You know that the venue is important. You know that the entry fee is necessary. You can break this information further down, Ria, but also just the fact that it's done on a the color contrast is so heavy that the information is quite legible. Perhaps using a sans serif font might be much more legible. However, the hierarchy is quite banging on point. There is also this Vaishnavi Dhargolkar. I think you've done a spectacular work. You've highlighted the important bit, which is basically there's going to be cocktail drinks, there's going to be finger licking food. You know what's important for you. You've highlighted the heading, which is the Christmas party. You've highlighted the essentials that one has to bring in, the fee, the age group, and throughout I can see also highlighting being done here. Somebody has used the bold typesetting here, somebody has italicized it and colored it. Here it's the entry fee is necessary, the message is necessary, the heading is of a different color, the sizing is different. Same things all the way around. Shubham Bharadwaj, amazing work. Like proper hierarchies being set with this setup that you worked. There's also highlighting being done by actual highlighting with the color. There's also play happening with the background over here and the spacing that is being created. There's also elements used such as lines over here to create our hierarchy and to break down the information, which is amazing. And I understand that we sometimes do these things very casually. We know that we have access to this everywhere, like even on our Google Docs. But to try and do that with a little more consciously, trying to do it to make sure that your information is getting relayed in a much better way, trying to make sure that you're able to comprehend whatever design, whatever content that you're going to relay it out, your users and your viewers or your audience is able to consume it, and you're making it easier for them to do that. And please use these typesetting formats wherever and whenever you can, and use it effectively. Begin with one size. This is very crucial. Begin with one size and then start playing with the variations that you can bring in with. Start with size 0, like the same size, and then start adding space. See if spacing things is building up hierarchy. Then you add some weight. See if making anything bold, making anything bigger is going to thicker is going to help me with creating hierarchy. Then add some scale to it. Do I need to enlarge the size? Sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes just making it of a different width, making it of a different color can help do that. You don't have to utilize all of it, but use it effectively. And I think this is very crucial to understand, and this is at a very basic level that we're approaching typography. But even within this, you've created an invite, and this is something that it's an ideal thing. There's so many various different layers that needs to go in there, but the typesetting is one of the most crucial aspect that one has to cater to. And within like 2 hours, you've understood. I mean, I hope you've gained something. Can I get like some response on how this was, if it was okay? Did you understand something new? Did you learn something new? Did you had fun? Was it boring? Was it something you did not expect? I'm happy to have that for another 2-3 minutes before we bid good night and goodbye to each other. If there's anything you'd like to share, anything you'd like to state, please, please, please feel free to do that. Or you can also type in your messages. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, it was really lovely to see those posters, and like you said, font makes a really good difference. Like in the Titanic poster, we can see like that the only text creates such a good part. even those actors were so great, but the poster,
Mhm.
like it signifies what kind of a great movie and it's kind of a history.
Yeah.
So, and like also in the same gravity was such a good work. So
Lovely.
it was really
Glad-
fun. Thank you so much.
Great. I'm glad you had fun.
The amazing
And
part is in Titan, they have clearly stated that the hero is going to die and heroine is. You see, the hero is under the water and the heroine is.
underwater,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Great
Usually,
observation.
hero comes top and heroines.
The class was very fun. The task was very engaging, and yeah, it made us understood better because of the tasks and everything. So thank you for making us understood all this thing in a very simple way.
Lovely. I'm really glad. Thank you. And thank you for engaging with the work. Thank you for engaging with the workshop. Thank you for doing the task. I know it might seem very menial, but little inputs like these, little tweaking in your typesetting is going to really enhance whatever you do, wherever you do it. Even while writing an email, guys, try to make it easier for whoever's receiving that email to just make it easier for them to understand and comprehend the information better. Highlight the things, make it things bolder, bullet point things for information. And I really hope that you're taking something out of this workshop, wherever, however you use it. And thank you for joining in. If anybody would like to say anything else in the end, please feel free to do that. Else, we're done with the workshop and hey, finished it in time. So I hope things are great. Is
এটা অনলাইন চলতেছে
and Academy here? Would you like to close the meeting? That would be really
Yes, yes. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks,
এই
Kaushik.
কথা যায়নি একটু
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Good night.
So much. Thank you so much. Good.